Welcome to this week's edition of the Sports Curious podcast. On this week's Wednesday Wisdom, we are talking about our favorite college football traditions. We are rolling into the first month of college football. We're in it to win it. And here to join me talking about favorite college football traditions is the one, the only co-founder, brother, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I think this was a very relevant topic for us because what makes college football so incredible and fans so passionate is the generations of traditions that these fans have, the schools have. So it's fun to dive into with realignment and even the 12-team playoff where you might be exposed to a lot of different new schools traditions.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for us to share with you all because for us, when we try to go to a game, we obviously try to learn these things just so we fit in, but it's amazing how much we learn. And so, if we can share some of these insights so you're prepared if you go to a game, that would be huge. We are going to our first ever home Notre Dame game this year. I'll have to do some research because I don't even know what to expect. Besides, we should probably wear the right colors. And Notre Dame has the same fight song as our high school. That's all I've got for you.
Yep. Shout out to Bishop Gorman, the good Catholics.
Woo woo.
I think there's Here Comes the Irish, and maybe shipping off to Boston is what my initial research has said.
Here come my first week at school there, for my master's, they did a video montage of us to Here Come the Irish from Notre Dame, which is very, melodic. And we're all exhausted. Some people have COVID that was before COVID was COVID, and we're all like crying, and it's a mess. And I'm like, have you ever heard this song to people who obviously went to school there? They're like, yeah, dummy. I'm like, oh, well, okay. Well, I've never heard it before. So at Arizona State, we threw tortillas during the game and jingled keys at kickoff. So, I mean, that's really where we're at, okay? That's where my traditions are at, tortillas and keys. What about you?
Are you still allowed to throw tortillas, or has that been nixed?
Oh, no, that was banned then too, but people still snuck tortillas in.
We don't want to know how.
No, I don't want to know it. No one was eating the tortillas. They were just throwing them.
No.
It's kind of like if you go to a Texas game, all the girls wear the big, tall cowboy boots because you can stick your alcohol bottles in them, the mini bottles in them.
Smart.
See, those Texans are smart. Be prepared if you go to a Texas game. Wear your boots. Did you have a college football tradition that you liked at University of Arizona?
I'm trying to think back. I assume they have some new traditions, but when I was there, it was basically just yelling bear down at everyone, and they would yell bear down back to you while you tailgate on the mall, which is the big grass area that runs through campus right to near the stadium.
Sounds about right.
So just yell bear down and you'll fit right in if you go to a game in Tucson.
Well, it's kind of like a Ohio State game. Just yell "oh" and someone will give you the IO and off you go.
And you sound like you're one of them.
You sound like you know what's going on. Yeah. So there's some, you obviously tailgated on the mall because everyone loves tailgating in Arizona in September. It's, beautifully roasting. But, they tailgate in Washington boats because why not go with what you've got? Boat gating, as we call it.
Yeah. The Washington Huskies pregame tailgating takes place on boats and yachts right in the water that you can then drive straight up into the stadium and park. So I think that's probably the most unique and most fun way to do it. I've had friends do it. They have they used to have like a Wendy's on a boat that would go around and just give everyone food. So I can't think of a better way to relax and enjoy some drinks before going to watch the Huskies.
Right. Wendy's, Frosties, fries. And then you've got a TV because everyone pimps it out, right? TVs, food. It's a legit tailgate, but on boats.
On boats, yeah. It's equivalent to like those super expensive RVs that have all the amenities. You're just floating.
You can just drown if you fall out of the RV.
That's true.
That's all.
Very dangerous, though. Yes.
Yes. Always a good idea. Say you've heard it here first. Wear a life vest.
I'm upset. We went to a game in Washington, and I had no clue at that point in my life about tailgating. So I wish I had heard this podcast before doing that.
Well, you're just gonna have to go back. I think we need to make this a adventure with last night's game.
Sadly, they're not in the Pac-12 anymore, but we'll find someone to go watch a game with us.
We'll figure it out. If you
Yeah,
have a boat and you boat gate, let us know.
you can sponsor us.
There you go. There you go. We'll do a live podcast from your boat.
Yes.
Deal. Done and done. Now we go from a very wet tradition to a kind of bone-chilling tradition, and that is Enter the Sandman at Virginia Tech. Why is this so much different than any other Metallica song that plays in any other stadium in the country?
Virginia Tech has taken it and just made it way more intense. Like you said, bone-chilling, earthquake-inducing. As the team gets ready to run out, they slowly build up, enter Sandman. The entire stadium's jumping, everyone's going crazy. They shoot off fireworks as the team runs out, and we'll have to have our editor put the video in there somewhere just so you can kind of get a feel of how intense it is.
We'll have to do that. Yeah, it's like you look at these stadiums, right? And I always think about as everyone's jumping up and down, and we'll talk about Wisconsin here in a little bit. But I'm glad I'm not the engineer on the building because I'm not sure when they built it, they planned on everyone jumping up and down. They didn't plan on Metallica being the vibe there, but it's pretty incredible when you watch some of the videos. And I've never been to a game, so I can't say that I've seen it in person, but it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and I think originally they were thinking Guns N' Roses or Alan Parsons Project, so I think they did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't pick like Alan Parsons Project. No offense, Alan Parsons Project, but I think Metallica was the right choice.
Doesn't get the blood flowing like the Sandman.
Not quite, not quite.
No.
Or Sweet Child of Mine. Now, speaking of thunderous traditions, we have Ralphie at Colorado. Now, Ralphie, don't get me wrong, he's a bison. So talk to me about Ralphie.
Ralphie obviously is a live animal, one of the few live animals we still have left as a mascot, and Ralphie gets to run on the field pregame and right before halftime ends. Gets to get out and stretch its legs. And I was just kind of telling you, we had North Dakota State Bison play the Colorado Buffaloes, so I did a deep dive into the difference, and Ralphie is actually a bison, so it's kind of misleading.
Well, so we took a deeper dive before this because I was asking the question, and bison are all the buffalo in America. There are no buffalo in America. They're actually bison, and this is according to Britannica, so I'm going to trust the encyclopedias of the world. That buffalo, there are two types, water buffalo, Cape buffalo, and they are Asian and African animals. So, Home on the Range, the song, wrong. The buffalo do not roam, the bison roam. Now, I want to know what inquiring minds want to know, and you may not know this. Has Coach Prime attempted to do a photo shoot or a commercial or anything with Ralphie, the buffalo/bison?
Ralphie did make an appearance in an Aflac commercial with him and Coach Saban and the duck, from what I can recall.
Well, Ralphie's famous. Name, image, likeness.
Ralphie's famous. Ralphie's got a good deal. So yeah, I think Prime got him in that commercial.
And if Prime touches you, it's gold.
Yes. Yes, and he now is a pigeon in a DirecTV commercial that I just saw. So he's.
That's you.
At first, I didn't actually see the commercial. I just heard it, and I heard his voice, and then I actually saw the commercial. I was kind of shocked to see he was a pigeon.
I mean, hey, DirecTV pays the bills, dude.
Hey, I'll turn into a pigeon for DirecTV. If they solve their dispute with Disney, though, first.
That's true. We got to solve that first because we need our people to be able to watch football and all the other things that they need to watch.
Yes.
So we go from Coach Prime, who exudes gold and victory, to one of my favorite traditions. This is like the most just heartwarming tradition they have in Iowa. It's called the Iowa Wave.
And this is the most Midwest Iowa tradition of all time. Just the nicest, most wholesome. After the first quarter of every home game, everyone in the crowd, both teams, all the cheerleaders, everyone turns around and waves to the Iowa Children's Hospital. That is high enough to look into the stadium where all the children are, receiving treatment for these diseases. And they, get that wholesome feeling that everyone's waving to them and encouraging them. So it's very, very cool.
It's so cool. I just think like that is the coolest tradition. And if you've seen videos of it, you can see from the Children's Hospital's perspective, all the kids are lined up against the windows with their families. and like I'm gonna get all teary-eyed. And then the stadium waves to them, and like I think it's just a cool thing because you've got these kids who are going through shit.
Basically, yeah.
And yeah,
And I was gonna say a lot of when they go play away, a lot of the other teams, I think in the Big Ten, will do the Iowa Wave when Iowa comes to town, and they'll like video into the hospital.
that's awesome.
So everyone's embracing it, even if they're bitter rivals on the field. At least they can come together and for the children.
That's awesome. It's really cool to see that some of these traditions like that stick around because then you have other traditions that are like, hey, let's go toilet paper the trees at Morse Corner at Auburn. And it's just not necessarily as heartwarming, especially during COVID when no one wanted to waste toilet paper. But it's cool to see that they've adopted this tradition. Like, kudos to you, Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yep, and they've kept it going, and it just gets better and better every year.
Yeah, that's really cool. So if you can't tell, we're kind of going in chronological order through the game. So we're sort of pacing you through the game. Now, if you're a college student, you've probably been at the game. You're going to be there till halftime. Ohio State, you're definitely going to stay till halftime because it's the tradition where they dot the I. So this is a long-standing tradition in Ohio State marching band performing Script Ohio, where they spell out the letters OHIO in a series of formation. And the highlight of this tradition is the dotting of the I, where the senior saxophone player is chosen to dot the I in the formation. And sometimes famous people have done that, but this is like the mega tradition to be able to dot the I.
Especially in front of 100,000 plus people in every
Mm-hmm.
home game at the shoe. So it doesn't get much. That's like the biggest accomplishment you can have in Ohio, I believe.
It's probably true. Besides like winning a national championship,
Mm-hmm.
it's dotting the I. And people like Jack Nicklaus and Bob Hope, saw Archie Griffin has dotted the I, but how cool is that?
I'm not sure, has LeBron done it?
I
I'm
don't
not sure if he
know.
has. I know he's donated cleats and things like that, but if he's donating to that $20 million payroll, maybe he can dot the I. That was one of his incentives.
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So we've talked about this tradition previously, and I was like, I text a friend who's really into music, played in the band in high school and in college, and played in a band, and I was like, what the heck is a sousaphone? And so he really talked. He was like, oh, of course, yes, the sousaphone, and I probably might even be saying it wrong. It's like a tuba. It's like a smaller tuba, concert tuba, if that makes sense. So it's not the big
Oh,
old mama one. It's the petite size that is meant for marching.
so the average person might not even notice.
Right. So little do you know. And I guess actually I should say it's probably not smaller. That might not be the right accurate statement. It's meant more to carry the sound above the heads of the band. So
Got it.
got it. That makes a little bit more of a sense on that. So now you now have had a music lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You've learned about Metallica, you've learned about Bison. So don't say we've never taught you anything,
Yep,
you
we're all over the
know?
map today. Come for the sports, stay for the sousaphone.
Now, the next two traditions I want to talk about, one is new to us because we had no idea that this existed, and one is actually a new tradition. Our intern, shout out to Shira at Michigan. She taught us the tradition of Mr. Brightside at Michigan games, and this happens. All these traditions are in the second half. So those of you who are college students who left to go drink beer and didn't come back to the game, you've missed these. But that's maybe why they keep these cool traditions later so everyone stays. Because this Michigan one happens, am I right, the end of the third quarter? And that stadium was full, the videos she made.
Yeah, a lot of the next few we're going to talk about happen after the third quarter, I think, like you said, to keep students there and kind of to get the team hyped to go into the fourth quarter. A lot of schools starting to sell alcohol now at games, so that'll also help. But
Mhm.
these traditions will keep students in their seats. Like you said, I wasn't really aware of this one, even though, the Killers are from Las Vegas, just like us. And why wouldn't Mr. Brightside be played in a Michigan game?
I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't you?
But yeah, it looks like ever since 2017, every game since they played Cincinnati in 2017 has had Mr. Brightside blaring in between the third and the fourth quarter.
And
And
it's
they've
cool.
really, as I say,
Yeah.
they really spiced it up since they've won the national championship, I think. the lighting and the acoustics have really taken a step up.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the video we saw from their home opener that Shira sent us. I mean, they have like concert level lights that light up, and everyone was doing, and it's pretty cool. So catch that video at on our social at Instagram or on TikTok, or Twitter. It's pretty cool. And speaking of cool music traditions, Toby Keith is now being honored at OU football games. That's Oklahoma's football game. Now, Toby Keith obviously passed away too soon last year from cancer, and he is a born and bred Oklahoman. He's a huge supporter of OU, and they've started a tradition between the third and fourth quarter singing courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, known as the Angry American song, at games. And I saw some images of it when it first happened, and they had his family on the field and the stadium was blacked out and everyone had their phone lights on. It was very cool.
And he's probably one of the more notable, high profile supporters of Oklahoma during his time. And this is kind of cool as they enter into the SEC to have this new tradition going for all these new teams going to come in and probably have no clue what's going on in between the third and the fourth quarter. They're going to be pretty intimidated by the whole crowd.
But you also can't hate it if you're an opposing fan, because it's about America, so you can't hate that about it. So maybe it will be one that, is kind of catches on a little bit.
Unifying.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you.
So hopefully
we could use more of that.
Hopefully these SEC fans listen to this podcast before they head in.
So you're prepared.
Yeah. What was the stat we saw? That Oklahoma has the hardest SEC schedule out of everyone as they get inducted. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome to the SEC. Here's the hardest schedule.
We've
already talked about Auburn TPing. That's they're part of the SEC. Let's dive into, let's talk Wisconsin. We have a cousin who was a freshman. Hi, David, if you're listening. So the tradition at Wisconsin football games, which I feel like are not only this is a tradition, but also wearing really maybe not so attractive red and white striped overalls as part of the Wisconsin MO as well.
Guess to try to stay warm would be my guess.
That'd be my guess. Or once again, alcohol bottles.
Alcohol bottles. Mini bottles, but not David because he's underage.
Yeah, don't do that.
And this is also in between third and fourth quarter when everyone's probably starting to feel the effects of the tailgate wear off, unless they are 21 and they can buy alcohol in the stadium. They play Jump Around by House of Pain. Everyone's jumping up and down. A lot of the broadcasts have really embraced it, and they've got the commentators doing it. They started bringing in House of Pain
to do real, like a real group.
They have I think it was the last season or season before they brought him in a few times. So
that's awesome.
It's cool to see like the networks really dive in and embrace all these traditions. So House of Pain jumping around.
I'm curious, what is House of Pain up to these days besides going to Wisconsin games? I'm curious.
No, I don't necessarily know that. But for a few months in the fall and winter, they're very relevant in Wisconsin.
It's true. That's true. So Wisconsin, if you're going to a game, be prepared. Wear shoes you can jump in. Probably spill your beer on if you're of age. Now, I want to go into let's talk about Oregon. Because Oregon, first of all, is that school, and I want to maybe wrap us up with, maybe we'll do Oregon, then we'll do Florida. But Oregon's that school that it's a Nike school. Nike is in their backyard. They have the most phenomenal uniforms thanks to Nike. It's like endless uniforms, always a different combination, always cool. But what is the tradition in Oregon that we need to know about if we go to a football game?
And I think as we get into this, we should mention that Animal House was filmed there as well.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that's a big thing to know. And as Oregon enters in the Big Ten, they're going to have some new fans coming from the Midwest and East Coast that may not know of this. So it's going to be good for them to know. That in between the third and the fourth quarter as well, shout blares through the loudspeakers and everyone gets into it, gets the people going.
I mean, you've not lived until you've gotten a little softer now. It's like the ultimate wedding song, isn't it?
Yeah, I honestly just almost said that, so yes.
I actually think you picked that song as the song that you requested for my wedding. So
I did, and I didn't know it, but maybe I was inspired by Oregon at the time.
Maybe you were. Maybe you were. It was a bit like Animal House, so therefore maybe that was it too.
Yes.
Now, Florida State has this tradition of a sod cemetery that dates back to 1962. Kind of morbid, but talk to me about the sod cemetery.
It is very morbid, very spooky. They have the sod cemetery that I don't know that they'll be adding to this year based on the start of the season.
Hmm.
But it is a tradition should they get there. They take a piece of turf or grass off the opponent's field when they beat them and bring it back to the sod cemetery on campus. They started getting so good they had to put some new rules in. Under Bobby Bowden, they were so dominant. So they have to be underdogs, or the victory must be in a championship or bowl game to add to the sod cemetery now.
Got it. Now, Florida State, it's FI. No, Florida State is the one where the fan said he was going to eat poop if they lost. And then right? Wasn't that Florida
Yes.
State? And
Yes.
then they did lose, and then he deleted his social media account.
Yes.
Florida International is the one that is Pitbull as their sponsor.
Yes.
Lucky them.
Two schools on very different trajectories at this point.
Yes.
Anyone
So
with anyone with Pitbull, I mean, sky's the limit.
I mean, Dale, let's do it. Did you see the giveaways at the first home game?
I saw it's a pin with a picture of Pitbull and the stadium behind him, which for everyone who doesn't know, he purchased the naming rights to their stadium, so it's just Pitbull Stadium.
Pitbull Stadium. I believe one of the end zones says Dale. I can't remember what the other one says. Probably FIU or something. But he's like the official entrepreneurship sponsor. They're serving his alcohol at the bars. I mean, there's a whole bunch of back and forth in this partnership that FIU is definitely making a name for themselves.
And there's unlimited room for new traditions with FIU and Pitbull now. I can't wait to see. I mean, I assume after the third quarter, they'll be playing Fireball, or everyone's taking Fireball shots.
Yes, please.
That would be my guess. If I was Pitbull, I'd be doing that. Really get the students going.
I'm trying to remember when we saw Pitbull in that small concert for the PGA Championship. Did we do Fireball shots? I have a feeling we did.
I have a longer story if you want me to get into it, but no, they did not have Fireball at that event.
That's right. I think we were disappointed there was no Fireball.
It was extremely disappointing, and if I can tell a quick story.
Tell a quick story. You have like 2 minutes. Let's do it.
Knowing the disappointment that we faced at that concert at the PGA Championship, Pitbull was performing at Shaq's charity event. Knowing that I didn't get Fireball the first time, I snuck mini bottles in for everyone for Fireball, and we proceeded to take the mini bottle shots directly when he said Fireball.
As you should.
In the song. So I made up for it.
You created your own tradition. You didn't have to wear the Texas-sized cowboy boots.
No.
But you kind of had like the Wisconsin overalls, right? You probably stuffed them in your tuxedo pockets.
There was quite a few in there, yeah. Luckily, no one patted me down, but there's some good pictures of the Fireball with the Fireball in the background. So,
as there should be. I have a whole keg of it, so if you ever need some, just come on over.
Well, let's go to FIU.
Let's do it. FIU, we're coming your way after we boatgate or pre-boatgate. I don't know. We're going to figure that one out. Wheels up, team. Let's do this. Well, thanks for sharing the best, favorite, most memorable college football traditions. If you want more on the college football season, you can go back and check out our podcast a couple weeks ago about college football. We obviously are covering the NFL and everything else happening in the world of sports. So stick with us here at Sports Curious Podcast. Of course, feel free to hit that subscribe button and then follow us on social for anything more that we talked about today, but obviously what else is happening in the world of sports. So stick around with us. Thanks, Scott, for sharing your brain with me.
Thank you. And if there's any traditions we missed, let us know. I think we covered most of them.
That's true. We'll see you at Wendy's on a boat.
Yes.